Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Breaking news for you. It seems that now Ethiopia has taken a position that Eritrea is planning to wage a war on Ethiopia. The position is very evident because an advisor to the Ethiopian PM who worked in top positions in Ethiopia in the past, has written a piece for Al Jazeera. Who is this man? What did he write about Eritrea and Ethiopia? This article written by this man is full of allegations against Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki and Eritrean government. Let's have a detailed look at this article. Mulatu Teshome is the name of the writer. Who is he? He's former president of Ethiopia during EPRDF era. He worked as the president of Ethiopia for 5 years. He worked as speaker too. He worked as minister too. So he was a top man in the EPRDF. He has been on good terms with PM Abiy's government too. A few months ago, last year, I remember that Mulatu Teshome was sent to Turkey. PM Abiy sent him to Turkey because he was working as an advisor to the Ethiopian Prime Minister. He delivered a special message from Ethiopian PM for Erdogan, Turkish president. I did a video on that. If you remember, regular viewers would back what I'm saying. I did a video on that. So back then, Mulatu Teshome was operating in an official capacity. He delivered a special message of Abiy Ahmed to Erdogan. That is what Mulatu has written for Al Jazeera is a reflection of Ethiopian government's views about Eritrea. What is Mulatu Teshome saying? Firstly, Mulatu's article is full of criticism of Eritrea, saying that Eritrea has no parliament, no democracy, no election, no constitution. The main export of Eritrea is their human resource or illegal gold. Indefinite national service conscription are causing brain drain from Eritrea. And the country has very poor human rights record too. Mulatu says that in 2020, Eritrean forces became involved in the war in northern Ethiopia, and these Eritrean forces went deep into Ethiopia, into Tigray, and they played havoc with the people of Ethiopia. By the way, Ethiopian government back then was supported by Eritrean government, Eritrean military. I mean, Eritrea on its own did not interfere in that war. It was at the request of the Ethiopian government that Eritrean government intervened. But Mulatu is twisting facts here. Then Mulatu goes on to claim that 23, 22 rather, November 2022 ceasefire deal, Pretoria deal was a setback for Eritrea because Eritrean government wanted bloodshed in Ethiopia to continue. So its hopes of continued war in Ethiopia could not materialize. And then Eritrea started backing, arming, organizing a militia in the Amhara region, Fano fighters. Mulatu is saying that Fano groups are being trained, funded, armed, organized, backed by Eritrean government. Eritrean government is backing not just Fano fighters, it is backing one group in Tigray too. The writer Mulatu, former president of Ethiopia, says that one group of one faction of a political party which wants to dismantle interim government of Tigray has connections with Eritrea. Which group? The Bratzian Gebremichael group. Without naming it, Mulatu is saying that the Bratzian group is conspiring with Eritrean government, and then Mulatu concludes that Eritrea is working to incite another war in northern Ethiopia by backing Fano and by backing TPLF Debrecen group. Now, the article further claims that Eritrea has been fueling conflicts in Sudan, South Sudan, etc. And this is the time to stop Eritrea. If Eritrea is not stopped today, it will fuel another war in the Horn of Africa. And if Ethiopia becomes destabilized, this instability will spread across the Horn of Africa. Sahel region already destabilized. If Horn of Africa becomes destabilized too, that could pave the way for armed extremist groups like ISIS, Al-Shabaab to strengthen themselves in Sahel, in Horn of Africa. This is the analysis built by Mulatu Teshome in this article. So it's clear that Ethiopia is saying that it is getting credible reports of Eritrea planning to wage war on Ethiopia through TPLF, the Bratzian wing, and through Fano fighters. Though I always say that Fano groups were reborn after PM Abiy made a blunder and it announced, the PM Abiy's government announced to disband and disarm Fano fighters. It was a blunder committed by PM Abiy's government, not by Eritrea. The conflict in Tigray is basically an internal political conflict, but Eritrea is being drawn into this conflict. While Eritrea is allegedly backing Ethiopian opposition groups like Fano and Debrecen wing, Ethiopia is backing Eritrean opposition groups. I think Mulatu did not mention of the links between Ethiopian government and Eritrean opposition groups. Brigade Namido, Eritrean Far National Congress, transition government in Eritrea, the SADO, all are operating on Ethiopian soil. They're going to be funded, trained, armed by Ethiopian government against Eritrean government. Maybe Mulatu's article is going to be used by Ethiopian government, pro-Ethiopian government sources to justify the actions of Ethiopian government in terms of support for Eritrean opposition groups. Mulatu is going to justify the Ethiopian support for Eritrean opposition groups. Overall, the article written by Mulatu is basically a reflection of Ethiopian foreign policy towards Eritrea. Serious deficit of trust. Both are mistrusting each other. No engagement. And the article mentions that Isaias Afwerki was never interested in forming strategic economic cooperation with Ethiopian government. Ethiopia tried, but Isaias Afwerki was not interested. I said that Abiy wanted access to sea through Eritrea. Abiy was promised something later. Promises were not met. Abiy then turned against Isaias Afwerki. This is what happened. And Mulatu's article is partially confirming it, that Ethiopian government wanted strategic economic partnership with Eritrean government. Eritrea wanted to dismantle TPLF. It could not. Now it wants to remove PM Abiy's government. PM Abiy's government wants a regime change in Eritrea. Basically, we can sum up that Horn of Africa is going to be more destabilized in coming months. 2024 was the year of conflict between Ethiopia and Somalia. Luckily, that conflict did not turn into an armed conflict. 2025 seems to be a year of conflict between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Will it be just political conflict or conflict in the form of heightened tensions, diplomatic tensions? Or will there be armed hostilities? Let's see what happens. So far, Mulatu Teshome's article is an eye-opener. It is a message for those who say that nothing is happening, but when Eritrea and Ethiopia, they say that everything is peaceful. People like Sajid, they want to stir conflicts in the Horn of Africa. I don't make videos in the air. I don't get information from the air. I get information from sources. You see what Mulato is saying. Both sides are now involved in this issue of heightened bilateral tensions. Thank you for watching.